Looking at the Trump administration because it's upping the ante on trade, warning China that it'll use, quote, all available tools to prevent its state-driven economic model from undermining global competition. Let's discuss the implications of all this. Bloomberg editor Jodi Schneider joins us now. Jodi.
Yes, well, the Trump administration is indeed upping the ante. It basically is saying that it wants to end that China has adopted status policies that are leading to a misallocation of global resources regarding trade. So tariffs, which have already begun to be the administration has already begun to put in effect some tariffs, we know, on solar products and on washing machines, is now looking at aluminum and steel. The administration, the president himself, is said to be looking at a global steel tariff of as much as 24%, which is the highest, the most punitive thing that is on the table. But this is something that's under discussion right now as this new report comes out.
Anything else that we have as well that the administration is looking at in China?
Yeah, one thing they're looking at right now, they're investigating U.S. intellectual property rights and how the property rights situation is occurring with China as they make these claims. So at this time, it's very interesting. A top Chinese trade official is in Washington and having some talks as these threats for tougher sanctions come out.
Yeah, interesting timing indeed. What were the key takeaways, Jodi, from the president's annual report to Congress on his trade policy agenda?
Yeah, this was a pretty tough report. In addition to making the comments about the status policies, the report indicates that China is actually moving away from a global trade perspective that it was supposed to adopt with joining the WTO in 2001. So there is very tough language here, and the administration is at least threatening to take some really strong steps. Whether it will or not is, of course, the question. And then the other question is, does China retaliate? And that, of course, will remain to be seen. But China, of course, is the visit of that trade minister. The timing is very interesting right now.
Yeah, also really interesting, these comments from Steven Mnuchin overnight, kind of the Treasury Secretary always flirting with the idea that the US could be open to rejoining the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Is that something that's realistically kind of being pushed for by certain segments?
Yes, well, that is interesting because, as you know, President Trump, upon taking office, basically said the U.S. is not interested in the TPP, and the other countries have been scrambling since then to try to put together that partnership. But these comments were by the Treasury Secretary. The president sometimes walks away from comments made by cabinet officials, but he hasn't in this case. They seem to be very exploratory, but the fact that the Treasury Secretary made them is quite interesting. It seems to be perhaps a negotiating posture to try to to really try to restart those talks, or at least some olive branches in terms of the other countries involved in the talks and trying to do some trade deals perhaps with them. But those are very interesting comments, the first we've really seen in some time about the TPP.